Welcome to the third episode of Real Talk All Sport. I know it's been a while. Welcome back, everybody. I know we've got a few numbers starting to grow as well, so thank you for the likes and the thumbs up and the social media shares. Keep it coming.
And I've had a few messages as well from people saying, when's the next one as well? So
Yeah,
it's about,
Well,
about time to...
Yeah, well, let me explain first. There's only the two of us, as you can see, because, as you know, our Olympic double are away with the European Championships, or have been away with the Athletics European Championships, and doing a lot of work, and we've decided to give them the weekend off. So we thought we'd go something a bit different, just have the two of us. Something a bit different, Dav?
Yeah, this is cool though. We can do it different ways. We can just... The beauty of a podcast is we can do it however we want.
And I thought I'd go all Clark Kent with like a reporter's sort of...
I know, I like this.
Pad and
it's
pen
cool.
and my little phone rather than the big laptop and what have you. So remember, you find us on YouTube at Mr. B Productions -WAL. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, or X, at Real Talk All Sport Podcast. So let's kick off then, Dav. First of all, let me say a little tribute to a great guy who we've lost in football recently, Kevin Campbell. I can't say he was a friend, as in a close friend or anything like that. Friend acquaintance, I would say. But a great guy, sad loss. What's it like? What have you made of it? Like from just a fan's perspective?
For me, Kevin Campbell, growing up, was one of the first names I think I ever heard in football. Being a Cardiff City fan, growing up, going to Ninian Park, you heard the lineups coming through, and you heard of the cheers that come with it, and that's the first memory I have of Kevin Campbell. But I've only ever heard so far only good things people have said about him. And we talked about it earlier, and you said about he was kind of a man of justice and was a strong character as well as a strong player on the football pitch as well.
Yeah, he was a lovely guy and like a leader, the type of person that you want in your corner, and the type of person who it wasn't that he didn't take no nonsense, he was just too big for anyone to give him nonsense. So when I was at Chelsea, the Jason Cundy was sort of like the coach at the time was Gwyn Williams. Less said the better about him, but and Jason Cundy was like his little pit bull. He was like setting on people, you know. I was like 16 and Jason Cundy was like 18. And in those days, in reserve matches, the ball boys would be the apprentices. So we were first years, and quite early on in the season.
So you were a ball boy?
Yeah, I was a ball boy.
Nice.
And Chelsea were playing Arsenal at Stamford Bridge, and it was the first time there was whispers about, because I wasn't aware of the London players or anything, about this player for Arsenal who can actually deal with Cundy, and I didn't think it was possible because Cundy was a beast. And then ball boyed the game and seen him, this guy Kevin Campbell, with eyes like this. He was just like packed, and he just manhandled Jace. And in fairness, Jace would say like his strength is ridiculous, So going on then and playing against him and what have you in later on in years. And knowing people who are close to him and stuff like that, it's just a really sad loss for someone at that age. And listen, it's the circumstances as well. And hopefully, they get to the bottom of it, because young man looked fit, healthy, but you just never know, do you? It's such a sad tale for him and his family. So from all of us here, we pass on our condolences to Kevin's family and friends.
Absolutely.
But on a lighter note. There's been some news in the camp.
There's been some, I know.
What was this thing you sent me a picture of?
So I sent you a little picture of myself and my now fiance, which is mad. It's just mad because I just wouldn't it's a life milestone that you don't expect ever happening until it's really in your in your mind. But
I mean, I know how old you are, but how old are you, just for the listeners?
So I'm 26 years old, which in the grand scheme of things...
It's still quite early these days.
It's still quite early. Well, I think it's also, I come from like a Christian family, and so I'm in the latter stages now. I'm an old fogey when it comes to getting married compared to other Christians.
Yeah.
But 26 years old, so like a pretty good time. Myself and my girlfriend we've been together for 3 years now, but we were mates before then. I need a reason to move out as well, so it makes sense. I can finally be kicked out of my family. But no, it's really exciting. We got engaged in Turkey, which we've never been before. It was a
great country.
It was an amazing country. People are amazing there, and found out got engaged the exact same place as Robert Earnshaw as well. So since knowing you, I've been living life like a footballer now.
They were the stars and all that.
Yeah, well, exactly. But no, it was amazing. She said yes, which was a relief. It's just going to be an amazing time. Really looking forward to it.
So do we have a date for the wedding?
A date. So we've already, within a week.
Are we going to announce this on Real Talk?
I'm not going to announce the exact date, but it's going to be next year.
Okay.
In the summertime.
Okay.
It's going to be... it'll be over the border because that's where she's from.
Oh, she's from the other side of the river.
She is indeed.
Okay.
So it's gonna be in like only like an hour or so away. So the kind of.
So she's from the Bristol, Bath, Cheltenham, Gloucester
area. So she's from Gloucestershire. So it's going to be really nice. So we're going to do it over there within about a week. We sorted church, venue, and entertainment already, so we've got it all sorted.
You know why? Because no one can afford to get married anymore. So it's all empty. It's available. Whereas there was a waiting list before, now it's all available because you can't afford it.
Well, it's a weird prospect, but we decided we want to get it done straight away. We're going to get it done, all sorted. So there's nothing to worry. But now we've got to worry about like where we're going to live, how we're going to do it. We've talked about it, and I think. At the moment, she's probably going to come over here, just because
it's cheaper. It's okay. You can go there. Don't be running around the houses.
I think it's what is the choice of watching Cardiff City or Cheltenham Town, and so it was a hard one. So and they've recently been gone down to League Two, so we're going to go Cardiff City. But no, it's really exciting times, and it's really cool that we can talk about it.
There's nothing. I'm just thinking, there's nothing you're not telling me, is there? There's no.
No, absolutely not. Don't you worry. That's not. It's a good reason too. But no, we're not doing that.
Being a Christian boy, I can't get shit done real quick. So
we like to get stuff done quick, but not that quickly.
You're not that quick.
Yeah. So go there as a married man yourself.
Yeah.
The wedding's going to be cool, but I'm more excited about the marriage. For me, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
So give me three tips on marriage from Nathan Blake.
3 tips on marriage. Listen, don't argue, do as you're told. Done. That's what I would say.
Do you know, and I think I can do that.
Yeah. It makes life easier, honestly.
And how many times a week am I allowed to go and play football?
What I would say, the biggest thing I would say is start as you mean to go on. So if you play football on a Wednesday and you love playing football on a Wednesday, continue to do it.
Nice.
And then what happens is your partner will fall into the same routine. It's just like if your partner like to go and play netball every Thursday.
Nice.
Keep your friendship groups, keep your own lives because it's super important. Don't let anyone look at me, I sound like a real old man, don't I? Don't let like any partner, boy or girl, start to cut you off from your friends and family. That's always a dangerous person.
It's the beauty of what we have is we have the same friends as well because we had a friendship before.
Yeah.
Before we decided we'd break that friend zone.
Yeah.
So it's all good.
Friends with benefits and all that.
No, never. We talk about that in the sense of we're like, well,
you ain't got to lie, Craig. You ain't got to lie.
We were like, so did you did we like each other before we thought we'd like overstep? I was like, nah. I want to keep boundaries on it because it was respectful and also liked enjoying being just a friend. It was good. It was cool.
I knew that.
But then as soon as we decided we'd like
had a drink one night.
Well, not even in that
comes
sense.
out.
It was as soon as we were on the first date, we were like,
Well, we've done this before.
we're gonna be together anyway. So we may as well just be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, good luck to you, mate.
Thank
It's
you.
nice to see, the youth moving forward, some of you, because it's so bloody difficult for kids at the moment. My son's a year older than you, and I know he's nowhere near that stage yet, and I'm not expecting grandkids. I'm not expecting grandkids till I'm into my late 50s.
Moving on from weddings then, and that, which is cool news, but hopefully it'll be.
Let's go on to the page. Let's talk Rob Page.
So we probably found out 2-3 days ago that Wales announced the sacking of Rob Page.
Yeah.
And I know when speaking to you before, you really liked Rob Page and what he was doing and backed him. And actually, after the Gibraltar friendly, nothing had been announced. So I think, as a fan, this came as a bit of a shock. What's been your take on it?
Yeah, so they kind of, the feeling was that the Nations League, the next Nations League campaign was going to be, make or break for Rob. So it's come at the time when, it's almost like the Welsh FA were following like the Conservatives and snap elections now.
No,
we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it for a while, and then tomorrow.
I thought how long it would take.
So it came as a surprise.
Yeah.
But look, I could understand the frustration from fans, and like I know fans have said, I've had it aimed at me many a time. Oh, you don't want to say anything against him because he's your mate. Well, I've said plenty against Rob's performance level and team's performances, right? But also you have to take into account factors, right? So, for instance, if you're going to Euros in 2016 with Gareth Bale, he's not going to be the same Gareth Bale as if you go to a World Cup or Euros in 2021 or 2022, right? He's older, he's more injury prone, he's carrying old injuries, he's lost a couple of yards of pace. That's just a natural progression of getting old.
Yeah.
Right.
You've
got it all to come. It's just a natural progression.
We didn't expect him to do stuff like defend or kind of run back during the Euros because we knew what he was capable of, and we allowed the other teams to facilitate for that.
Yeah. And you have to understand that. I think for Rob, it's easy for people. I've said it to you, right? Like as commentators, pundits, whatever. We always got a get out clause, whereas the manager has to make a decision and stick by it, right? He can maneuver in that decision making because he's got substitutes, right? Or he can play different systems, but it's easier for us. So people were saying like the World Cup, just drop Bale. So okay, let's say take for instance that Rob dropped Bale, right? Wales lose to Iran. What does everyone say? You got one of the world's greatest players on the bench. Why didn't you play him? After all he's done, he might just give you a moment. He might just give you a free kick, a penalty, right? So as pundits, we've always got a way out. I always say, my job is to analyse the performance, what I see before me. Right? So for Rob, he's had some fantastic highs, and I wouldn't say really low lows. I would say I think 4 results have done for him. I think the 2 results, home and away against Turkey and Armenia, are what's done for him. Yeah. Because ultimately we didn't make the Euros off the back of that. The Poland went down to a flip of the coin, right? Yeah. So it's like I say, my job is to analyse the performance. I don't say sack the manager. That's not my job. To call for your head, and I wouldn't call for your head. I wouldn't want someone to be. I wouldn't want to be in a position where people go, take off his head. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. My thought process is always, okay, if I was in his position, could I do it better? And if so, how would I do it better? And then I'd give that example of what I might do. So came at a strange time, but yeah, I'm sad to see him go because I don't like to see anyone losing their job.
Yeah, it has done amazing things for Wales.
You know, going to the World Cup for the first time in 64 years is a huge, huge, huge achievement. Just think of the names of managers who went before him who failed to do that with some fantastic players. All right, so you can't knock. You can say, oh, when we got there, the performance level wasn't up to scratch. Granted. And you might say, oh, we could have played this system or that system. Granted. But again, we got the option of being able to say, well, if he plays a back five, we think he should have played a back four.
Yeah.
If he plays a back four, well, he should have played a back five. Right? So we've always got that get out clause, whereas he has to make a decision and stick to it. My only issue, I think, Rob missed, and there's no disrespect to the coaching staff, but I think he missed the top coach. I think the way we played and the way we were playing, I think if you get a top coach, because managing and coaching are different things.
Yeah.
All right. So I think if you get a top coach to work on systems of play and how we're going to counter-attack, or how we're going to keep the ball, or how we're going to press the ball, or how we're going to defend deep or defend high, all these things in a back three and a back five and a midfield five and a midfield three and a diamond and a box four, whatever, I think you have to work on those patterns of play.
So a coach who can go into more depth of
depth, right?
Of trickery.
Yeah. So I said after the Denmark game in 2021, the Euros, when they beat us 3 or 4-0, 4-0 I think it was. For 25 minutes, Rob openly admitted, you know, we were on top, and we battered them for 25 minutes. The problem is, you then got another 20 minutes to halftime, and then the 45 minutes second half, and their coach made adjustments to their team, which Rob didn't counter. And I always say, once you get into, Eddie Newton told me this, once you get into the sort of substitutions and systems and all that, it becomes a game of chess.
Yeah.
All right? And it's who can outmaneuver who. Whose adjustments to the team or changes to the team is going to benefit the team more. And that Denmark game, I think they made, if I'm right, I'm sure the manager made about 5 different tweaks to the team, positionally, tactically, which kind of done for us. And I thought Rob had a lesson to learn from then, which he did to a point, but I still think he could have gone deeper. You know, I don't coach, but if I did, I would have been, that would have been my sort of, watching that Denmark game, I would have watched it a million times and watched how the little tweaks here and there.
And you mentioned about choices as well. Obviously, you said he has choices to make. That Gibraltar game, which I think for fans was a lot of the moments where they thought, okay, I think his time might become to an end, or I think he might be that he played essentially a B team.
Yeah.
Do you think that was a brave thing or a risk, or because he would have known if he's putting essentially like not his first team there?
Yeah, it was forced on him to a degree because he's not got all his first team players through injury, what have you. See, I think when you're playing a part-time team like that, I think you've got enough. A little songbird there.
Yeah, that came through really nicely.
That's why we're in the nest, right? That's why we call it the nest. But I think when sorry, what was the point I was making?
So it was about him bringing in the essentially not the first team.
Yeah. So I think you've not got the players. So the players you've got to play against a part-time team should be enough.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? Because Gibraltar, no disrespect, but they couldn't actually counter-attack us because they weren't good enough.
Yeah.
Blatantly, you've watched the game, there's a few times where they would pass the ball to each other and it's the wrong selection of pass, it's the wrong type of pass, and using the wrong technique, and the ball's going out. So to a degree, you're like watching people who are part-time footballers, right? And you're thinking, well, yeah, we got all international players here. The problem for me was the rigidness of our team, 4-3-3, and I thought the three midfielders played and stayed in the midfield. Rarely did they break lines. Rarely did they get in behind. They just get it and gave it, get it and gave it, get it and gave it. And they weren't the only problem.
Yeah.
Because if they're not breaking lines or to break lines, you need forward the people up front to come short and have these. So it comes down to then tactical and coaching and you know what I mean, ideas and what have you that you work on. This is it. And maybe you just looked at it and thought, took it for granted. And once we get one, we'll get 2 or 3, and that'll be, you know, worst case scenario, we'll get, if we win 1-0, we've won. If we win 2-0, we've won.
Yeah.
Fans might complain, but we've won the game. So to come out 0-0 was the killer, really.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of fans there. As it wasn't like a couple of, 20 or 30. It was a good travelling army there. Do you know what I mean? So it was...
And realistically, 0-0 to Gibraltar is rough.
Yeah, well, it was like a 3-0 win for them, you know. And regardless, I always say you've got to analyse your own performance, and you have to be honest. There's no point saying, "Oh, they got lucky" or this or that. And, you know, I think I remember them shooting on our goal once or twice, and one of them was when a guy tried to score from beyond the halfway line, but didn't have the power in his legs to get. And he's a big lad. Didn't have the power in his legs to get the ball. Well, he dropped in front, in front of the goalkeeper on the penalty spot. So there was never a worry about facing a counter attack for me. And I think at that point, the team, the players, the ambition has got to be through the roof. You know, you've got nothing to lose. You know, everything to gain. Go and use this game to practice stuff, like our set pieces. I went on air and said after the game, you know, I think 9 out of 10 of the corners, I think we had 14 in the game, were just crossed in deep. Yeah. Deep. And okay, we might add 1 or 2, one off the line and a bit scrambly here and there, but play a short one. Go to the near post. Play to the edge of the box for a volley or, you know what I mean, a setup for someone else. You know, imagination. You know, if you can't do it in those types of games, you're never going to get a better chance to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you might do it against 11v11 in a practice match, but that's not competitive. This is an actual competitive match, and I thought we didn't utilise the opportunity that was presented.
Yeah. Sweet. Now from Wales to the Euros. We are in the midst of the Euros. It's a shame we're not there.
Yeah.
Because I know
wait there. We've moved on rather quick there without you giving no opinion. Of Rob getting sacked. Sweet. So let me flip it on you. I see what you're doing there.
Sorry, I'll start it because we also need to talk about who's next as well.
Yeah, exactly.
So exactly. Sorry, my notes. You jumped
the gun there, mate. Let's hope that's not a future thing being premature into things, eh? Getting married and all that.
I am not having a child soon, Nath. I'm not. Absolutely not.
So what is from a fan perspective? Because I'm a fan as well. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's a hard one. I think for me, it was.
So what was the consensus among your friends?
So from consensus from the people I've been with are that he should have gone. Right. Which is tough, but I think because they didn't make it to the Euros, I think a lot of people with having, I don't even know just the structure of the pens in against Poland was interesting. I think there was a lot of confidence players that seemed to be taking the penalties, which for fans it made it a bit more tense rather than having your cool guys stepping up who you thought would. Like you back every player to score.
Yeah, but some people, I tell you now, and we've seen it in the past, especially with like England. Yeah. If you look at whenever like Gareth Southgate missing, there's far more experienced players than him who didn't take a penalty. Yeah. So like as much as players are, we confident creatures. Yeah. That confidence can be knocked very quickly and very easily.
And realistically, we don't know what it feels like. But I think then getting into the friendlies, I think when you saw the game against Gibraltar, you saw the younger players coming through, and you're like, right, this is their opportunity. You've got with a lot of Championship and Football League players coming in who are in their between 25 and young, you thought this is your time to really own it. And I think a lot of fans didn't necessarily see that, and then to come back with a 0-0 against Gibraltar and not seeing any acts that made you think, yes, this is going to be something exciting. I think that's when they said that they wanted Page to go. And I think with the opportunities of good Welsh managers at the moment, in terms of, you've got a lot of people who said like Oshan Roberts, you've got Bellamy, and I think a lot of people even thought Steve Cooper before.
No, that's not going to happen.
Which is not going to happen. Which I really wanted Steve Cooper for one reason, from his time at the England's he knows whose grandfather's Welsh. There must be so many English players from Manchester and Liverpool that qualify. I'm like, Curtis Jones, surely he must be that. He could give us some depth. Williams as well from Liverpool. I'm like, surely that could add some depth. And that's why, because I just thought, Steve Cooper, he must know some Welsh players in that England setter that could come in and help fit in. But obviously he's gone to Leicester. I think people by then did think maybe it's time for Page to go. And realistically, if things went worse, it's almost that Arsene Wenger kind of approach where people are like, right, he needs to go.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'd want that. I think if he can go at a reputation of he did amazing things for Wales, I think that's what the fans kind of want. They don't want it to get stale, and I don't think it has done, which I think is good. But the question is now, who's next? Because realistically, I don't think Steve Cooper would have come to do international football, because he's still got that another level of league football to kind of achieve. But selfishly, I just wanted him because I knew of his background in the England setup where we could have just nabbed a few players.
Yeah.
But other than that,
our squad is pretty decent. If you look at the players that were missing, and then the players who were on the Gibraltar, Slovakia trip, I think that a large part of the disappointment as well was we do have a greater depth now, but it didn't count for much.
No,
it didn't look like our depth is, sort of like a big plus for us, and again, was that down to, do you think fans were concerned about the style of football, or the lack of sort of the players we thought were, because, end of the season, mindset, going against Gibraltar, really don't want to, I'm knackered, I'm gutted, we're not in the Euros, I've got to sit and watch it. In fact, I'm going to go on holiday and I don't want to see it. So there's all these mental things going around in players' heads, and granted, some of them weren't there, but do you think, is that good enough reason?
No, I don't think so. I think it was a lack of because Gibraltar, granted, it's Gibraltar, which we should have beaten, but there's these players who are in your football leagues, in your championships. One of them for me was I really want to see Ruben Colwill take charge in that number 10 role, shine.
So would you say Ruben's had a better season the season just gone? Would you say, where would you mark that season out of 10 for Ruben? He hasn't had as good a season as he did the season before. I think at the season before we saw moments where he was absolutely brilliant. I think the Cardiff style of play is harder for him because we're going with that old school Championship philosophy of fast wingers. You need getting down there and getting the balls in, whereas he is a silky player who interchanges between positions. He's not necessarily the winger who's going to be on the right wing, goes down, because he's more technical than that. See, I think the change of management and the unsettled nature of Cardiff is having a detriment effect on him.
Yeah.
Right? Or has had a detriment effect on him. And some people might say it's excuses, right? But you've got to understand, some people are more sensitive than others. Some people are extroverted. Some people are introverted. Some people are, great when they get on the pitch, really quiet off the pitch. Some people are really loud on the pitch, quieter on the pitch. There's all different types of players. But I honestly believe that when you're running a club, you've got to be looking at your best talents and looking how I progress that talent. Because football is all about youth. We've seen it now at the Euros, right? 16-year-olds like playing for Spain. Like, it's ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
So the question is is he old enough? That's gone out the window now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ethan Ampadu, 16, 17, playing for Wales, 17, 18, 50 odd caps. All those kind of questions, can the youth handle it now? When you get a diamond in the rough, your job as the club is to nurture that talent and bring it to its, as high as you can. And it might not be the limit, but you bring it to the surface to the point where I can sell it for 20 million quid. Right? Now, you wouldn't look at Ruben and go, he's a 20 million pound player.
No.
Yet down the road, you had players, namely under Cameron Toshak, who've gone for 10s, 15s, 20, 25 million quid. Right? So there's something about how you nurture that talent, and especially when I get the first team level. And for me, that is my fear with Ruben. There comes a time, because I had it myself at Cardiff City, there comes a time where the talent and the ability, people now are expecting you to display it, not 10 times out of 10, but 7 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10. You've got to lead the team. You've got to take the responsibility of being the main man. And he can be the main man, and he should be the main man. But right now, it's not happening. And the Gibraltar game, for me, was a prime example of a player who is head and shoulders above the opponent, but didn't shine.
Yeah.
And, I don't think that's just a Wales Rob Page thing. I think it goes deeper.
Because when seeing him play, we know how good he is, but seeing the Cardiff system, it doesn't bring.
Well, it doesn't lend itself, like you said,
him.
like wingers and all that. We play with predominantly a front three.
Yeah.
And the wide men are sort of strikers.
Direct. Yeah. Guys who are good and direct. Because you look like Colin Grant is a striker. He is a striker.
Striker, effectively.
Mete striker.
Right. So you're looking at, you're not got natural wingers then. You know what I mean? Because I think if you've got natural wingers, having a number 10 behind whoever is your 9, who's a creative talent, I think you have to sort of mould the team around that player. Let that player flourish. Yes, he fits into the system, but that player has to really flourish. But you've got to give him the confidence. That's knowing the player then, right? And, and then at some point, you've got to say, well, then the player has to take responsibility. He has to be accountable also. Because my fear with Ruben is, in 3 years from now, we're not talking about him. And I've seen it, and I'll give you a name, Ben Woodburn.
Yeah. Who's in Scottish League right now?
Right, I think.
I think he's playing for either, he was at Rangers at one point, Dundee.
So he's Oxford.
And then...
Are you going to go to the Tinternet?
I am indeed. Let's have a look.
But great player, great little talent, and what have you. Broke through Wales, people thinking, whoa, this kid's got it all.
He is at Preston North End now.
Right. Doesn't get a mention. And he's at a championship club. Not even drafted in for, and as sticks in the memory as doing well for Wales. So that's my worry is like, Rubes, someone's got to get hold of him and start to guide him, and also the club has got to realise the chopping and changing and the way they're doing business at the moment doesn't help you to nurture talent.
Okay, and then as well with Wales, one of the questions is, who's next? So looking at the options at the moment, it's not looking like it's going to be Rob Edwards at Luton because he said he wants to stay there longer.
Just signed a new deal, didn't he?
Just signed a new deal, so he's off the cards. It's not going to be Steve Cooper, like I said, because he has gone to Leicester.
Yeah.
The names that have been thrown around now, there's been. I'm going to throw a rogue one in as well because why not? Because I can. So you've had Oshan Roberts, who's at Lake Como.
Yeah.
Which I was looking at. It said technically he's a caretaker.
I don't know what it is with Osh, but it's never what it reads.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like if you're the man who's just done what you're saying you've done, why are they changing you?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I don't get it. I don't know whether it's I can.
You just don't know.
I don't know. I can't work it out. Right? I don't know whether to credit him with the success because I seen there was like programs. I think we the BBC went down and done an interview with him or ITV or something like that as the man who's done it. But then I'm thinking, well, why wouldn't you stay there?
Yeah. But I think also on Osham Roberts and Lake Como, that must be one of the best jobs in the world to be the manager of Lake Como.
Lake Como was great. You wouldn't want to get sacked, would you?
Yeah, that seems like the dream. I saw the stadium last year and I was like,
beautiful,
this is the best place to be in. To be like, if you could be a football player or a manager
like on the
anywhere
Riviera,
in the world, beautiful. So him,
Amalfi Coast, like.
Yeah. Then you've got Craig Bellamy.
Ding 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 ding.
Oh, I know.
Ding, ding,
Here we
ding,
go.
ding.
So Craig Bellamy, assistant manager at Burnley right now, and
Yeah,
the other
the company's gone to Bayern.
has indeed.
Craig's not been given
He's not going there with him.
job at Burnley because there's a rumor that might happen, and he hasn't gone with Vincent.
Yeah.
So, okay.
And then the third one randomly, I'm chucking in there Frank Lampard because he's been thrown about as well.
Where'd you get that one from?
Just
I thought you were going to say Mark Hughes.
Absolutely no credible sources, and it's been all social media just because of his. The only reason why Frank Lampard is just because of his reputation with young players and how he has.
Yeah, but to be fair, he has had a lot of baggage already, unsuccessful baggage.
Absolutely.
For someone so young.
Absolutely. I'm just throwing it in there to just be rogue.
Okay.
So,
what about Nathan Jones? Why don't you throw that one in there? Matty Jones, the under 21 manager.
Nathan Jones isn't
Neil
a bad
Taylor.
shout. Yeah, it's just what's been going around at the moment on the socials. But Nathan Jones.
I think it'll be Craig Bellamy.
You think it's going to be Craig Bellamy?
I almost think that has been okay. I don't know, so I'm going to give you the insight of what I think has gone on. I think the Welsh FA have seen what's happened with company.
Yeah.
Someone has started the conversation because Craig's not gone with him. Mm-hmm. Okay, and no, Craig's getting the job at Burnley, sort of like a rumour, but it's not been sort of thumbed up by Burnley. So he's in a bit of like no man's land at the moment. Mm-hmm. Is he going to stay at Burnley as a coach? Is he going to be the manager, the head coach? Is he going to go elsewhere? Has he got something lined up? Or all of a sudden, bang, we cut page. This is our opportunity to get another Welshman in.
Which I think is what fans want.
Yeah, I disagree. I think I don't understand that mentality. Mm-hmm. Right. So if I want to go and catch a variety of fish, am I better going in a pond or better going out to the ocean for success?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get you. But if you're going to use a fisherman, so you're going to be a fisherman who knows the area quite well, as opposed to a really good fisherman who's out in the Atlantic.
As a fisherman, do you need to know the area, or are you better knowing areas, plural? Mm. So
it's an interesting thought. Yeah.
Play tennis.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So my point is, if you limit yourself to a Welsh manager, okay, tell me, does it happen in the women's football?
No, it doesn't.
Does it happen at the chief executive position? of the FAW.
No, it doesn't. Okay.
Does it happen in rugby?
Andy Farrell at Ireland.
I'm talking
of
about
course.
Wales.
Yeah. Well, the whole across. Even if you look at the best, I'm looking at the best rugby team in the world is got a Northern English head coach,
Right.
and we've got a Kiwi.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
So my point is, go and tell me a fan who, if the Welsh manager is from Mars, who's going to be complaining if you get to the Euros and you go through to the last 16 or you get the quarterfinal. Tell me which fan is going to be saying, crying her eyes out, saying what a fantastic kids, oh brilliant, what a journey, all that. I just wish he was Welsh. It doesn't happen.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. Yeah.
All fans care about is success. They don't care who gets them there. They prove that at club level. It doesn't matter if the best player is a black guy from Jamaica, a Mexican from Mexico, a Scotsman, an Irishman, a Dutchman. It doesn't. They don't care. They will sing that name because he is their hero. Boom, 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 boom. That's the mentality of almost all fans. There's been John Barnes in my day. Went to Liverpool, had bananas thrown at him, right? By Liverpool fans. Within a year, he's a god. And he's a god to this day. And they will regret forever and a day doing what they've done, right? But the amount of love they've showed him has sort of washed over all that bullshit, right? So I'm like, no, I believe you get the best man you think is available. And it's impossible for someone to sit opposite me or to tell me at the Welsh FA every time that person has been Welsh.
So is there anyone you want to be?
Like a few people have asked me, like, okay, Blake, so who would you have? I'm like, well, do you know what? That's not. You've got a director of football, Mr. Adams at the FAW. You've got a CEO in Mr. Mooney. That's their job. You know, I'm not gonna go and start doing research on managers and this and that and this and that, like I did years ago with when Rob Phillips was putting me under pressure and I'd come up with a Marco Silva. Yeah. And that turned out to be he's turned out to be a really good manager, right?
Yeah.
But I was touting him for Cardiff City like probably 8 years ago. Right? So if you go out and do, Brighton have proved it. You know, if you go out and you do your research, you can find these people. I think it's incredibly lazy, if I'm totally honest. Okay. And I think you're taking advantage a bit of a situation if you're saying the person has to be Welsh and to understand. Because football is global. How many countries at Euros? Right? All different types of people. Yes, most of them might have a manager from their own country. But globally, it's, you know, you don't go, okay, Cardiff City manager has to be Welsh. Wrexham manager has to be Welsh. Chelsea manager has to be English. You know, Man United's most successful period has come under Scotsman.
Yeah.
In my era.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
Chelsea's most successful period come under a Portuguese man. Yeah. Fans don't care about where you're from, really and truly. It's where you're at, where you're going. That's what, you know.
So then what do they need in a manager then? What kind of manager are we looking for?
Well, if you look at the Euros, now anyone been watching the Euros, I would say Slovakia, Slovenia, Georgia, Romania, you know, all these teams are progressing. Yeah. If you got one of these teams in your group 10, 15 years ago, you're almost guaranteed 6 points, 4 points as a minimum. That's not the case now. You know, Slovakia give us, okay, granted it was half our B team, but they gave us a good slap the other day, right? They put us to the sword. They ranked lower than us by about, at the time, by about 20 places, 10, 20 places in world football. Go on and give a good account of themselves at the Euros. They're going forward. I think that's part of the decision making by the FAW. Yeah. I'm going to credit them with as well. I think they're probably looking around and thinking, well, kind of, if we're not careful, we could be slipping to 50 in the world here. I'm sure that's going to have an effect on sponsorship deals, revenues, rah.
So we mentioned earlier about possibly Craig Bellamy. One thing that I was
give me from a fan's perspective.
From a fan, it's nothing to do actually with him at all, because I grew up playing against his son, because he was the same age.
Ellis.
Who I don't actually know personally, but we used to play, and Craig was always there.
He's a little player. Ellis,
what he was always watching, and he never said a word, which for me is a real mark of respect.
Well, Craig
didn't ever say a word. And so, as well as we know him for being this energetic player and an aggressive player, actually, I've known that he does have levels when he's not on the pitch of knowing what to do, of discipline, knowing what to do, because it would have been, I always thought it would have been horrible if he was there shouting, one, for his son, two, for me, because I've seen him on the pitch, and it would have been frightening, but it never was. The style of play that Burnley play, they obviously got relegated, but there's something in the style which Bayern Munich have found out company. He now can go to Bayern Munich and get the players he wants to play that style. My only concern is, do you think we'd be playing that style? Because although it's a good style, you need so many players to be able to do that style well. Because he's gone for the Pep Guardiola approach, which we know from seeing Man City works really, really well if you've got the equivalent of 2 teams worth of first team players. If that makes sense.
I understand what you mean, but I think you're kind of doing Craig a disservice in the fact that you're not giving. It's not this, but you're doing him a disservice in the fact that I think.
Do you think he'd bring a different style of play then?
Well, he's played the game at the highest level. We've seen a lot of managers recently who've played the game at the highest level be unsuccessful. Yeah. Now he's had success, and granted, they continue to play a certain way in the Premier League, but he wasn't the final decision maker. For all we know, he might have been thinking we should change systems. Yeah. Right? We should play a different way. What I'm saying is, I know he's got the nous to be able to adjust. So he will, let's take him for granted, he comes in as the manager. He will, like anybody else, assess what they got. You look at the history of us, how we've played, how we got success. You look at modern day football, the way it's going. You look at the players you got to hand, and then you start to mould this team into what you believe will be successful. And that where the accountability comes in.
Because that's the only thing I thought about was, which I know he will, obviously he will adapt, and you do that to players, was that if we went for that style of play that Burnley do, which is a really attractive style of football, we know with Burnley they were relegated, even though it was. So with someone like Bayern Munich, it's quite evident it can be quite a successful.
Absolutely.
Because they're good at, Bayern Munich can just grab loads and loads of players. But no, that's interesting, because he will obviously bring something different.
Yeah, but I think he's probably the bookie's favourite. I don't gamble, I haven't looked at the odds around it. But I would have thought, under the circumstances, Cooper, let's be fair, Cooper's been available for ages. Right? And there was pressure on Pagey 6 months ago. Yeah. So if Cooper was going to step into the national football, the opportunity, I'm sure,
you would have done it by now.
The conversation would have been had at some point. And clearly, is not for me, thanks. I want to stay in club football. As your first main job, people go, could you do international football? Well, Mark Hughes did. And we almost qualified, barring one dodgy decision I think Sparky made in the Russia home game, would have qualified. And that was his first job, so it can be done. And I've got, if it was Craig, great, you support, you try and help in whatever way possible. But at the end of the day, I don't judge him, do I?
Yeah.
It's the fans who make the judgment call.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? And then the FAW have to make the call on whether he's the man, you keep him, he's successful, he's unsuccessful, whatever. What I'm saying is he along with plenty of others, just off the top of your head, and if we started doing research, right, if at the end of this program we said, right, go and find 5 managers who you think would be suitable for Wales, I'm sure we could do it.
Absolutely.
Right? But not having access to the full extent of things, like finances, plays a big part, right? Plays a big part.
Because international managers as well don't get paid as much as...
No. But then you get paid well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, I always think like when I was playing, you're gonna pay me all that money to play football? Like, I do this shit for free. I've done it for free up until I was 16. You know what I mean? Or 18, really, because YTS was around 28.50 a week. So in London wasn't great. So for me, the speed of and the nature of the sacking of Rob lends itself to what's happening with Bellas at the moment.
I think let's end that as a part 1, and then we'll go on to part 2 in just a second.